Hi, beautiful souls. What if everything you thought you knew about spiritual growth was actually holding you back? There's a dark side to enlightenment, a shadow that can grow alongside your journey if you're not careful. This video pulls back the curtain on the spiritual ego, a common misconception that often goes undetected. Its subtle manifestations are unmasked, providing you with a deeper understanding of your shadow self. Prepare to confront uncomfortable truths about your own journey. Someone can have matrix ego, which means having more money, fame, or social status, makes them believe that they are more superior than others. In the same way, someone can have spiritual ego. A spiritual ego is the ego's attempt to use spiritual ideas and practices to enhance its own sense of self, rather than transcending the ego self. Instead of truly letting go of a separate self, the spiritual ego identifies with being spiritual, leading to feelings of superiority, the need to impress others, and a false sense of enlightenment. It's in reality a deceptive trap that can delay true self-realization by reinforcing a false identity. If you have had a spiritual awakening and you have been on the path of spirituality for quite some time, or you are on a twin flame journey and you do your inner work, you have been dedicated to your healing process, healing your trauma, past wounds, childhood issues, you are practicing self-love and self-care and engaging in spiritual practices like meditation or yoga, there is the chance of getting in the trap of thinking, I'm more spiritual than others. Spiritual ego can be recognized by a sense of feeling more superior, more spiritually evolved, or more enlightened than others. Also by the tendency to invalidate others' spiritual paths or struggles and to criticize their actions, their choices, their behaviors, and their lifestyles, and a holier-than-you attitude in daily interactions. It can also be recognized by behaviors like flaunting spiritual knowledge, showing off spiritual insights or practices like posting spiritual-themed content on social media. Of course, posting spiritual content on social media like quotes, videos, affirmations, practices, etc. is helpful for other people and their spiritual journey, but the intention of doing it makes the difference. You should ask yourself, am I sharing my wisdom in order to help others or because I have the need to perform my superiority? Another sign of spiritual ego is the addiction to concepts. You become addicted to spiritual knowledge and concepts, mistaking intellectual understanding to genuine progress. You can stick to concepts or labels such as spiritual, awakened, enlightened, chosen one, or when you are on a twin flame journey and you are the feminine energy, you may catch yourself believing that because you are the divine feminine, the karmic partner is inferior than you. What's more, you may feel the need to seek external validation, needing others to acknowledge or admire your spiritual journey or awakening. And you talk about that, the fact that you were awakened, or about the inner work that you do, about where you are on your spiritual journey, how many retreats you have attended, the number of spiritual teachers you have met, or spiritual experiences you have had, to build a stronger, more special sense of self. And if you are on a twin flame journey, you boast about having a twin flame and that your connection is more important or more superior than soulmates or karmics, and that your connection is divine and a special one. These were some signs and behaviors that may indicate spiritual ego. Now I'm going to talk about why this is happening. Similarly to matrix ego, spiritual ego hides deeper insecurities and unresolved issues. Using spiritual ideas to avoid or suppress difficult emotions like anger, grief, loneliness, envy and shame, fears, or personal challenges, and avoid dealing with your true feelings is called spiritual bypassing. This defensive behavior can manifest, except for emotional avoidance or numbing, also as toxic positivity, where you focus solely on positive aspects, leading to a rejection of any negativity as unspiritual. It can manifest as detachment for avoidance, where one mistakes indifference or detachment from the self for genuine spiritual equanimity, as an overemphasis on spiritual enlightenment or higher states of being, which leads to the neglect of practical needs and mundane realities. It can also manifest as lopsided development, where one focuses on one aspect of self at the expense of others, hindering wholeness, and lastly, as arrived delusions, a false sense of spiritual superiority that one has transcended the normal struggles of life and growth. Another reason for spiritual ego is the need one feels to be acknowledged or admired by others for their spiritual journey or awakening, seeking external validation. External validation is the need to rely on external sources, like other people's opinions and approval, to affirm one's self-worth and sense of identity. An excessive reliance on external validation can lead to emotional dependence, anxiety, insecurity, and a fragile sense of self-esteem. What's more, spiritual ego arises from intellectualizing spiritual concepts without fully integrating them into lived experience, without embodying them. This leads to a disconnection between knowledge and action. Spiritual teachings should not be taken uncritically. They must be hammered in personal experience to transform into genuine understanding and living wisdom. Another reason for the form of ego is when one uses spirituality as a tool for the ego to gain status, power, or recognition. In other words, what we call spiritual materialism. When someone uses spiritual practices and beliefs to boost one's ego rather than transcend it, to have personal gain or to gain temporary refuge from suffering, this spiritual narcissism ultimately hinders true liberation and self-discovery. And lastly, the act of seeking itself, seeking the truth, seeking knowledge, who you truly are, your authentic self, seeking your connection to God and to the universe, creates a seeker identity, which the ego then identifies with, leading to a sense of specialness. These were some of the main causes of the possible emerge of spiritual ego. And now I'm going to talk about how to overcome and transcend it. First and foremost, one should develop humility. You should cultivate a humble attitude, recognizing that true spiritual growth is a process for everyone. Every time you feel more spiritual than others, or if you are on a twin flame journey and you are the divine feminine and you are doing your inner work and you feel more superior than the karmic partner your divine masculine is with, and more important than other people who may not have a spiritual awakening, or who may not be progressing spiritually as fast as you do, you should keep in mind that we are all one. We are all energetically connected with each other. We are all divine and perfect beings, and we all come from the source. For God, all souls are equally important. The only differences are here in the 3D reality. Each soul has taken a body to live their own experiences and to learn their own lessons on earth. We all choose different roles, and each soul has chosen to play their own unique role. Some souls won't have a spiritual awakening in this, but in a next lifetime. Some souls will be on a twin flame journey, while others play their role as soulmates or karmic partners, which are all equally important connections for our lessons and for our evolution. Also, what is different is the level of consciousness of each soul. Some souls develop a higher level of consciousness, while others a lower one. It depends on what each soul decided to experience in its lifetime. Remember that we are all soul brothers and sisters, and we should embrace Christ's consciousness, which is a consciousness of love. And if you are truly awakened or on a twin flame journey, you should remember that you are here from love, from unconditional love for yourself and others, and not for love. Also, you have to observe your mind. Become an aware observer of your thoughts and feelings, recognizing when the ego is creating false narratives about being more spiritual or more superior, and try to detach from the concept of self. What's more, you should embrace vulnerability to connect with universal truth through acceptance of other people's imperfections and vulnerabilities rather than striving for perfection. You should accept and embrace the duality within yourselves and within everyone, and cultivate compassion for self and others without judgment. If you feel the need to be admired by others so as to boost your confidence, then you should do some introspection and ask yourself why you have this need for external validation. It may indicate some suppressed or hidden emotions, fears, low self-esteem and self-confidence. Focus on loving yourself and heal anything that holds you back from being and expressing your authentic self. Furthermore, try not to get in the loop of attaching yourselves to spiritual concepts and labels. The labels are only used in order for the mind to understand the meaning better and more easily. Use the concept or the label and then detach yourself from it. For people who just do spirituality, they should shift from doing spirituality to being authentically. Embrace the present moment, be mindful, humble, focus on your inner work and healing, keeping in mind that cultivating spiritual ego is one of the biggest traps which can sabotage and hinder your true spiritual evolution. I am Lina, a spiritual teacher, a transformational and a twin flame coach. And if you need assistance on your spiritual awakening and your healing process, or guidance on your twin flame journey, feel free to contact me to my email address, which is in the description box. Thank you for listening. Love and light.